So welcome to the weekly shred. We're a few minutes late tonight, man. I got all kinds of new stuff that I'm working on over here in the F Cube studio. So my apologies for being a little bit late tonight, but we should be live Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, across the board. Let me take a second here to pop open my my comments for the different platforms, and let's just kind of see how that works. But hopefully this will work. You never know exactly, as you're kind of doing these things, but I would like to think that it's sort of working out. So all right, so anyway, so we should be good to go. So Thursday night weekly shred. My name is Jim Schultz. Man, this is a good one that I've got for you guys tonight. So we're gonna talk about how to regain your strength after a long layoff. Man, let me know, guys. Are you just getting back into the gym? Like, does it start to feel, is it starting to feel a little bit normal out there where it's like, man, I'm back in there, I'm training a little bit, I'm figuring out my split, I'm figuring out my weekly breakdown. Like, it feels good to be doing, not air squats, to be doing, not inverted rows under the kitchen table, not Bulgarian split squats, off of the ottoman. I mean, I don't know about you guys, man, but I've been in the gym now for, it's been almost a full week, right? I started last Friday when they kind of went into phase 4 here in Chicago, and it's felt really, really good. And so the thing that I'm focused on right now is regaining my strength. So the thing that I'm trying to focus on, like, right now, is boosting my strength levels back to where they were pre-quarantine levels. And so that is my objective. I have a sneaking suspicion that I am not alone in that objective. I have a sneaking suspicion that there might be some other, lifters out there, some other physique enthusiasts out there that have a very similar mission. And so what I wanted to talk about tonight is I wanted to dig in and talk about, regaining your strength levels. And what we're going to do here in a couple of minutes, we're actually going to dive into my own training logs, and I'm going to show you guys how I'm setting this up. I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to analyze this, and I'm going to show you guys kind of how I'm setting, the whole thing up. And so let me know, guys. I'm really curious if your goal out there right now is to regain strength. I would really, really love to know that as we kind of get situated here tonight. So, all right. So, yo, Dr. Jim, Tasty Trader, what's going on? We appreciate you. We appreciate you being here. And then I got my YouTube peeps. I got Dr. Z. How many sets would you recommend for getting back into weightlifting? So this is a great question, and it looks like you guys might be getting a little buffer action over there on YouTube, and so my apologies if you're getting a little bit of buffer over there. How many sets would you recommend for getting back into weightlifting? So that's a great question, and the answer, Dr. Z, you guys are going to see this in my logs here in just a second. The answer is not very many. The answer is very, very few. And so by very, very few, I mean, it depends on the movement and it depends on the muscle group, but maybe only a couple, right? Maybe only a few, right? Like really, I think what you want to do is you want to start very, very, very slowly, right? You really want to kind of ease your way back into it. You really want to kind of, just kind of coax the muscles back to some level of work capacity. And so I would not be in a hurry. I would not be in a hurry whatsoever. I would go ahead and I would take my time. I would absolutely unequivocally take my time. And so that would be my generic answer to you, Dr. Z. But hang tight, man. In the next 3-4 minutes, we're going to dive into my logs here, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So, so good stuff, man. So, okay. So you want to regain your strength. That's your number one objective. Here on the forefront, right? One of the main things that I want to mention here is this is not the only objective that you could have. Right? And so I talk about this all the time, man. I talk about it with fitness. I talk about it with finance. I talk about it with everyday life, right? Context. Context is the key, right? Context is the absolute key to the whole thing. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if you don't understand what you're trying to accomplish, right? If you don't understand what your ultimate objective is, then how could you possibly know how to get there? Right? How could you possibly know the best way to set things up? Right? Like, my objective is to regain my strength. Now, I could have an altogether different objective. My objective could be to improve my endurance. Right? My objective could be to improve my work capacity. That's a different objective that's going to require, it's going to command a very, very different set of protocols, right? And so because my objective, first and foremost, is to regain my strength, I'm going to structure my training such that I can accomplish that objective. But you got to be aware, if you guys take nothing away from tonight other than this, take this. Think about what you want to accomplish. If you're just getting back in the gym, and honestly, a great goal would be, man, Jim, I just want to train consistently. Like, I don't really have like a strength goal or like a work capacity goal. Man, it just feels good to be back in there, and I just want to get back in there, right, to some degree. That's a great goal. That's a really, really great objective, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And so, that in and of itself, just kind of a generic goal, is a goal. But I would just encourage you guys to take some time, think about it, think about what you want your objective to be, and be really clear, right? Be really clear, and then be really committed to that objective, right? Don't bounce from one, training program to another. Don't bounce, from one split to another where you kind of get stuck in, shiny object syndrome, and you're like, oh man, like I want to be shredded, but I also want to be huge. Right? Like I want to be super fit and super lean, but I also want to be super strong, right? And sometimes you kind of have to choose, one or the other. So, all right, so here's what we're going to do. What I want to do now is I am going to share my screen with you guys, and we're going to pop into my training logs, and you guys are going to have an opportunity to kind of take a look at how I'm setting this stuff up. And of course, if you guys have questions, just drop them in the chat, drop them in Twitter, drop them on Facebook, drop them in YouTube. I should be able to see them. So, all right. So, if you guys have strength as your objective, here is what I would recommend. So, popping in here, let's go ahead and let me do this really quick. So if I share my screen with you guys kind of see the production there. So if I share my screen with you guys should be able to see now my training log. You guys should be able to see, this Google sheet that I've created. This is the training log that I use. This is the training log that all the athletes inside of Full Throttle Fat Loss use. And so, this is how I'm going to set up my training. And so if you guys want to check this out, there are links down in the description. You guys can check out Full Throttle. Or if you don't even want to check it out, maybe this will give you, some ideas to structure your own, progress logs and structure the way that you, track your own training. So if we look at the way that my split has begun, you can see down here I'm titling it the comeback split. And so the way I'm setting this up is it's just a 4-day-a-week split. And so all I'm doing is lower body, upper body, and then lower body, and then upper body. If you kind of follow through, let me actually bring these up here and make it a little easier to follow kind of what I'm working on. So if I go ahead and, if you guys kind of look at what I'm focusing on here, you can see you've got upper body, you've got lower body, you've got upper body, and so on and so forth. And so you can see right here, if you look over to the right, you can see some of the days I've already completed, right? So like if you look at this guy right here, you can see on the first day, I did donkey calf raises, I did barbell squats, I did more barbell squats, I did leg extensions, and then I did lying leg curls. Now the thing that I want to focus on here, and this is what I would strongly encourage for you guys, if strength is your main objective right now, what I would encourage you guys to focus on is this. So my first set into squats, I only did one set, and I did one set up to 3 reps. And so all I wanted to do was I wanted to work up to a relatively heavy triple. And if you look a little bit further to the right, you can see the actual performance of that set. It's right there. I did 195 for 3, and I pegged it as at an RPE of 5, which means I had 5 reps left in the tank. I probably could have done 195 for 8, and that would have been failure for me, on this day. So why is this kind of important? Well, I think there are a couple of things going on here that you guys can apply to your own training. So the way that I'm setting this up, the way that I'm structuring my training, and let me go ahead and let me just kind of go full screen for this real quick. We'll go soapbox style. So the way that I'm setting this up is, and we're going to dive back into the logs here in a second, But I'm picking barbell squats and I'm picking barbell bench press. I talked about this last week, right? We talked about this last week on the shred when I was talking about, hey, you're getting back in the gym, what should you do? You're getting back in the gym, like how should you set that up, right? Like I gave you guys a few things to think about. Well, I said, last week on the night before I was getting back in the gym, I'm like, all right, I'm going to focus on squats and I'm going to focus on bench press. So the way that I'm setting these guys up is I'm working up to a heavy triple on barbell squats, heavy being a relative term, and then a heavy double on barbell bench press. And then after that set is over, I'm doing a couple of down sets or back off sets or reverse pyramid sets. They all basically mean the same thing. I just lighten the weight up and do a few more reps for a couple more sets. Now here's why this is really, really important. And this is honestly probably the main thing that I want to get across to you guys here tonight. I'm really deconditioned right now, right? Like I'm really, really, I don't have any work capacity. My body is not used to training at any type of a reasonably high level. It's not used to that, right? And so what does that mean? That means that my global fatigue management is just not there, right? Like when you do a set, like when you do a set of curl, we talked about this when we talked about rest periods like a month ago or 6 weeks ago. When you do a set of like curls, right? Like obviously the muscle that you're localizing, the muscle that you're trying to work is your biceps. But your whole system has to go to work in order for you to do that, right? Well, that's the difference between local fatigue and global fatigue. Local fatigue is, the actual taxing of your biceps muscles. Global fatigue is your whole system. That's your whole work capacity. That's your whole, level of conditioning. Right now, I just can't handle a lot of, higher rep work. I just can't even handle like normal workloads of like sets of 8 or 10 or 12. And by can't handle, I mean, of course I could do them, but I'm going to get taxed very, very quickly. And I'm not going to be able to use very, very, very much weight at all. And so what I decided to do was rather than do sets of 8 or 10 or 12 on these two main movements, barbell squats and barbell bench press, I'm keeping the reps down to 3 on squats and 2 on bench as I work my way up the pyramid. By doing that, I'm basically, eliminating the fact that my global fatigue is going to escalate very quickly because the sets are not very long, right? Everything is going to be localized. Everything is going to be focused on the movement. Everything is going to be focused on the muscles in question, which, that's kind of a misnomer with squats because squats literally train every muscle on your body. I think they train every muscle on your body and the guys next to yours body. Like, I think squats are really that effective. But by focusing on triples, right? I did 195 for a set of 3. If we go back into the to the sheet here, I did 195 for a set of 3, and by focusing on that, it was super easy. The RPE was 5. That basically means the set was extremely easy. So next week when I go in there, right, I'm gonna probably focus on, maybe hitting 215, maybe hitting 205, maybe hitting 225, right? Before the quarantine, to give you guys like a reference point, for sets of 3, I was working in maybe the 335, 345, 355 range. And so that's kind of what I'm working up towards. And so for me, generally speaking, 195 should be pretty easy, and it was pretty easy. But here's what's really cool about this. By focusing on these triples, what I'm able to do is keep my global fatigue in check, but I'm also able to give my body and my joints and my tendons a chance to catch up, right? Give these guys a chance to get ready for the work that's coming, right? 195 is easy. 205 is going to be easy. 215, 225, 255, it's all going to be easy. But I am not in a hurry, man. I've got my old man joints. They need time to catch up, right? They need time to get back into the groove. And so I am in absolutely no hurry whatsoever. But this allows me to basically do a couple of things at once. Regain that strength, while also doing it safely because the weight is still relatively light, but I'm not being taxed heavily on a global level. And so it's going to allow me to progress very quickly through the 200s and get back to the 300s in, the next 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. Again, it's not a race. It's not a competition. Like, I'm not trying to get there as quickly as I can. I'm just going to go, as my body tells me that it's ready to go. But this is kind of what I'm thinking. So let me know what you guys think about that. I would like to know if you guys are doing something similar. Do you guys have a different approach if you have strength as your main goal? Like, let me know in the comments. Let me know on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I've got all the comments coming up here, I think. And so we'll just have to We'll just have to kind of see. And so, all right, okay, so that's barbell squats. So now if we go down a little bit, just go down, just a tiny bit here, you can see that we did something similar with our barbell bench press, right? We did one set of 2 reps. And so again, I worked up, I did one heavy double, I got up to 185 the other day. And so again, it was not, a super difficult set. It wasn't a hard set at all, but it felt really good. The RPE was only 5. It was very, very manageable. And then after that, I did 2 sets of 5 at 155. It was also very easy at an RPE of 4. And then, on squats, I did something similar where I did 2 sets of 6. You can see that right here. I did 2 sets of 6 at 155. And it was also very, very easy. And so the basic idea tonight, guys, the basic thing that I kind of wanted to focus on here is if regaining your strength is one of your number one objectives right now, if regaining your strength is one of your number one, missions right now, or it is your mission right now, I would strongly encourage you guys to consider doing something similar to this, right? Doing something similar where, you work up to a heavy single, a heavy double, a heavy triple, a heavy 4. I mean, it could be, a number of things, right? It could be, the number of reps doesn't really matter as long as it's, I would say, 5 or less, right? I would honestly say 4 or less would be pretty good if you're really deconditioned like I am. And then it's going to allow you to regain that strength really, really quickly and allow you to kind of move back through the strength levels and get back to where you were, before you know it, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, or 8 weeks down the road. And so, so that's it, man. That's the weekly shred tonight. If you guys check this out, on YouTube or on Facebook or on Twitter, I am just, man, I am so appreciative of your time. I am so appreciative of your attention. I know that there are so many different things that you guys could do with your time and your attention, and it looks like we had some buffering issues over there on YouTube, so hopefully you guys had a decent experience. Anyway, I'll have to check that after the replay. It's still a work in progress. Like we're figuring this thing out little by little. But guys, if I can ever help with anything, man, you guys let me know. Whatever's easiest for you guys on social media. You can always shoot me an email, just jschultzf3@gmail.com. And man, that is all I have for you guys tonight. I hope you guys